Hey everybody, and welcome back to 3COG. This is kind of part 2 on the Walther P38. This is assembly and disassembly for the purpose of maintenance and cleaning. And I'm going to point out a couple of cool features inside the gun. Dear YouTube, I'm a firearm safety instructor, and assembly and disassembly of firearms for the purpose of maintenance is specifically authorized by your AdSense policy and YouTube's policy on firearms. So don't demonetize me, bro. Alright, so Walther P38 P1, and the weapon is clear. So to begin, you lock the slide to the rear. Accomplish that, just slide to the rear, and then push up on your slide catch, and it catches just like this. Rotate your takedown lever to the fully forward position right there, and ease the slide forward. From here, all you do is pull the slide off of the frame. Reach inside right here, press this plunger, and it unlocks the locking lugs, and now I can remove the barrel assembly. So I have my barrel assembly, my slide assembly, my frame, and my magazine. So this is field stripped. This is really as far as you need to go for basic maintenance. If you have some grime that's built up in your recoil spring right here, you can press rearward on this, lift slightly, and your recoil spring and the little tiny plastic guide rod will come with it. So put that back in. All the way rearward, just like that, and then compress the spring a little until it clips in right there. So the P1 versus the World War II Productions P8s, these frames are made out of aluminum, which is why you see the wear patterns here, because your frame is going to wear faster than your slide assembly. As I said in my previous video, this locking block assembly is very, very similar to the Beretta M9, which is still in service to this day in the US military. And this is a numbers matching gun. All these parts are the correct pieces for this weapon, so it's just a really neat little time capsule. The firearm is also actually drop safe. It's got a drop safety right here, so that has to be fully depressed for the weapon to fire. And remember that this model came out in 1957, so we didn't see that in a lot of American firearms until like the late 70s. So pretty forward-thinking design right there. I mentioned in my other video about the loaded chamber indicator. That's right here, this rod, and all that happens is it's pushed to the rear, and then I can feel it in the dark, and I can see it during the day, should tell me that I have a round in the chamber. On the magazines, your magazines are also capable of being disassembled for maintenance. Reminder to YouTube that this is certainly not an extended magazine of any kind. This is an 8-round magazine, and as you can see right there, it was made in December of '75. Disassemble your magazine. I'll push in on my retaining plate right there, and then slide this plate, my actual base plate, forward. That comes off. Keep your thumb over that. Okay, so now I'm just going to ease this out. Here is my base plate retaining, so base plate, retaining plate, the actual spring, and the follower, and then your actual magazine body. So that's a disassembled P38 P1 magazine, and it is actually marked P1 9mm Walther. So my follower back in, spring back in, my retaining plate on top, and you're going to want to push this retaining plate down a little bit further than you think you should. And then slide your base plate over top of it. You're going to try to avoid shooting any pieces across the room here. There we go. That little dimple pokes back through. Base plate's locked back on. Reassembled magazine. Here's a close-up of the locking lug design. So this plunger is what moves the locking lug up and down. Definitely, definitely a forward-thinking design. It's a pretty beautiful piece. Excellent machining. Again, huge thank you to the couple that let me take a look at this weapon with you guys. The metal's in very, very good condition. Plastic has a couple of very small scuffs in it, but overall this thing is in outstanding shape. It's obviously a shooter. It's got some wear from being shot, but the rifling's bright and clean and sharp. Overall, the pistol's in phenomenal shape. Alright, so reassembly. All you got to do is make sure your locking lugs here are unlocked. And then slide this in. Fully rearward and lock in place. Just like that. Now with my takedown lever still rotated all the way forward, slide onto the rails. If you're used to the frame here looks kind of like a Beretta M9 or a 92, so you might be mistaken in thinking these are the rails. It's full length rails here, which also lends itself to a very, very smooth shooting impulse and pretty phenomenal accuracy. So my locking lug was unlocked there. There we go, rearward, go all the way back and lock the slide to the rear. Sorry, knocked my camera there for a minute. There we go. Lock the slide to the rear and then rotate your takedown lever forward. That's it. So that's fully reassembled. So now you'd go in and do your function check. So verify the weapon's clear. Weapon is clear. Start off with the firearm on safe. Attempt to press the trigger and it will go to the rear and it will not go any further. From there, go to fire, press the trigger, hammer comes to the rear, hammer goes forward, my double action works. Rack it, ease my trigger out, there's my sear reset, press the trigger again, single action works. Now I'm just going to thumb the hammer to the rear and I'm going to take the weapon from safe to fire and my decocking lever works. Last thing I'm going to do is check my magazine, verify that my mag catch works, heel style again, and it does work, it's locked in. And then without pressing up on that lever, I'm going to pull the slide to the rear and let it go. So my slide catch, slide release, and it locked the slide to the rear just like it should on an empty magazine. So the weapon should function as intended. It's a beautiful piece. Thank you all for watching. See you next time on 3COG.